Are you flipping the rage bait on me?
What is that existence? Responding to chuds. I love doing it.
Let's go with the dog against the dogs. Alabama.
When I had a choice to pick a co-host.
I know.
Oh, you're betting on the game. Why would you be doing that? Because it's fun. Welcome back to Geek'd Up Bets. Joe DeLeone, Sean Anderson here for our next round of predictions for March Madness. We're going to predict the outcomes of the two games for the Final Four, and then we're also going to project lines for the assumed matchup on what we think it's going to be and ultimately who we believe is going to win the tournament overall. Also coming up on today's show, we're going to talk a little bit about A.J. Brown, him going to the Patriots, and what that would do for the Patriots' odds to win the Super Bowl this upcoming season. Of course, we've got the Weekend Parlay. We went far this time. We went 8 legs to win us some damn steak. We want some damn steak, damn it. I want one of these to hit for once. Sean, how are you doing?
Hey, I got some new jerseys to celebrate. Do you like them?
I don't know how I feel about the Falcons' new jerseys, if I'm being completely honest with you. I don't know if I should be excited about them. Part of me kind of feels like it's just a generic pivot because the last ones were a little too overthought.
Oh,
yeah. Shit's one way to put it.
Here's the problem. Atlanta got dunked on by Tennessee because Tennessee went really lean into the throwback situation with theirs, and they look smack like the Oilers jerseys, which are some of the best jerseys in football. And you look at the Atlanta Falcons and you look at their throwback jerseys, they would honestly, unbiasedly rival those of the classic Houston Oilers jerseys and how good they look, how they're presented, the coolness factor. Like, it's a very cool jersey. So they get Andre 3000, 3 stacks. I love 3 stacks to narrate this whole video and then release a pseudo sleek modern version of a throwback, which just looks like pajamas, where if you had some shoulder piping, and I saw NFL Fashion Vice saying that they are a fast, sleek team, and that's what they should be doing. They look like PJs. And if you actually leaned into the retro thing a little more, where you had a tricolor stripe on the pant and a tricolor stripe on the sleeve, I'm totally in it. But I hate just block on the numbering on the front. I like a little, I don't know, what is it, a bevel? What do you call that? The shading?
Well, bevel would imply that it would look 3D, so no, it's not a bevel.
Oh, then the outline is what I would go with. I wish there was an outline on it. There was a lot of meat left on the bone for such an incredible palette that they have.
This to me feels like it's such an aggressive pivot in the opposite direction because you're basically recognizing that the last ones were so overcomplicated that you went full backtrack to just straight color with numbers. This is it's not Giants-esque, but I have such problems with the fact that the Giants are just straight colors with their numbers slapped on them. I wish there was a little bit more detail to them. There'd be opportunities for that kind of detail.
Here's why I don't mind it, because they're a classic franchise. They're an NFL franchise that's won Super Bowls. You know, that warrants some because I love the NFL history. I love that the Packers jersey always looks like the Packers jersey. The Steelers jersey always looks like the Steelers jersey. The 49ers always look like the 49ers. They don't deviate a lot. That's what I like about the Giants. Atlanta's been deviating like hell for the last 25 years. Too much. You need to plan to have something to stick with, or else you're just going to be caught in this shuffle of like New Jersey every 5 to 6 years when you don't win and everyone's pissed off because 1, your team blows. 2, you got 2 lefty quarterbacks that are short and always injured and can't throw the ball. 1 throws it too hard. 1 only throws it soft. And then 3, they look bad.
First of all, you going to buy a Tua jersey? Are you going to buy a Tua?
I'll throttle you right now. That is
to charge $150 for a Tua jersey. It has to be one of the most. That should all be auto on sale. No one should be buying that for $150. You need to convince people to buy that. That should be $60, and it should maybe come with some tickets. That should be, if you buy the jersey, you should get to go to a game. You get to go suffer through watching Tua throw the ball limply to Drake London.
Yeah, it should have gone immediately to clearance. Maybe it was a Norm joke, McDonald joke, where he was like, yeah, your last movie went straight to audio. And I'm like, yeah, that's what they should treat Tua jerseys like. Like, yep, straight to 95% markdown because he's Tua Tagovailoa.
The one thing I will say, I'm bothered by the fact that I really like the stripe in the middle of the red helmet.
It's great.
Think that the black helmet should have the inverse with a red stripe in the middle with the white stripes alongside it. I think I hate generic jerseys and helmets. So we're just going to go matte black with the Falcons logo slapped on it.
Here's the thing also. Atlanta has historically used gray and or silver pants. They're actually gray. They're not silver. I think because they're so lame at times that they were worried about bringing the silver back because the red and silver, I guess it's called scarlet and silver or whatever
that means.
It's kind of claimed by Ohio State. And I don't think they want to look like Ohio State. I think they want to look like the Atlanta Falcons. But the problem is they're wearing sheer white pants. They're white. They're like Rex Ryan teeth white on a very red apple jersey. I'm just like, this is not like, give me just a couple shades off. Make it look more football and less like Madden created custom jerseys with the sliders at the extreme peaks of hue. I just give me something simple I could bite into, not something that's just offensive.
Dude, but this is total distraction. The amount of people that have gotten duped by this stupid, please vote for me to host a podcast. Jamie Williams
got caught up.
Yeah, I got the message him back. I said, God effing damn it, Jamie. You gotta be. And they just the person who hacked them said, hey, it turns out you haven't voted. Please, can you do it now? I really appreciate it. The amount of people that are getting duped by this, we
talked about that though. Like we talked about a friend of the show, Craig Haley, FCS legend, I guess. We talked about him getting caught up, and Jamie is a listener of those FCS conversations. He listens. He knew about the scam.
I don't know how we've made it this far and people are still getting hacked by it, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about March Madness, delivering our predictions. Sean, we're going to go game by game here, and then we're also going to project what we think is going to be that national championship matchup and what our pick is going to be. Arizona versus Michigan. Michigan is favored by 1.5 points. Where do you stand on the Wolverines versus the Wildcats?
Hardest game of the weekend to pick in the Final Four. Nightmare scenario. Two militant 1 seeds that have stomped through their entire brackets and quadrants. I stand Arizona. I stood Arizona from the very start. It would feel very weird for me to jump off ship now. When I think maybe a month ago, I picked Arizona as my favorite. I love this team. I love how they worked Purdue, who had been a steamroller, like with strength and power and just good passing. And Arizona just didn't play around with it. They're like, we're better than you. I know you are doing this traditional offense, Matt Painter stuff where it's back to the fundamentals. We have better athletes than you, Purdue. And Michigan has some size. Michigan, I think, could stack up well with Arizona. They're getting players healthy and back and ready. But I again, every time we talk about Arizona, I bring back broken record. Where's the weakness? Where am I seeing a weakness with this team where I wouldn't invest in? I don't see many with Michigan either. Trust me, I don't. Because we've sat down and watched.
Well, allergic reactions are apparently the one weakness that they have.
Yeah, that's not great. But every time we've sat down and watched a Michigan game, it's like, okay, well, if they're getting a little bit of bump, and then they just start raining threes and they just break it open.
They beat you to death with hammers. It's not even it's not even surgical. They just smash you into the pavement and then you have to attempt to get up.
It's unfair.
Nobody's been able to touch them.
It's really unfair how good both of these teams have been. I believe you said it last show, like this would have been the best option for the national championship because I think both teams would have beat Illinois and UConn respectively. But it's Arizona for me. They've been my dog. I got to keep on riding with them. I have to. I can't jump ship now.
All right, so here's where I'm completely dismantling your argument.
Okay, sure.
What's their weakness? Where do they fall short here?
Yeah.
You know where they fall short, and we're going to discuss this a little bit later on.
Mm-hmm.
Tommy Lloyd, the Arizona coach, refuses to acknowledge that he does not intend to take the UNC job. The words, I will not take the UNC job, they have not come out of his mouth. Now, this is not Lane Kiffin-esque. He is still doing the typical bit. Is he trying to leverage for an extension? I'm sure that he is. But if you have no intention of going to UNC, can you please state it? If you are this focused to win a national championship, can you please state it? You know who hasn't really talked about this and it hasn't made headlines? Dusty May. Dusty May seems awfully focused.
Must be a worse coach not getting that opportunity.
But Dusty May has a much more, I think, secure situation where his athletic department financially, I believe, has far more backing to keep him locked in and to keep him happy. They gave him a crap load of money to put together this ridiculous roster that they have for this upcoming year, this season that they've had. I think that of the two coaches, I would much rather buy into Dusty May to be able to get a lot out of his team. Meanwhile, Tommy Lloyd is over here getting irritated by questions about his job security that he won't be direct about.
This is Stanford medical degree spin doctoring right now.
What do you mean?
Where we're going to the coach's lack of official comments on the matter.
Dude, no, come on. This has always been a tale as old as time. Coaches, the distraction created by coaches potentially leaving and taking other jobs. That has been a tale as old as time. So why wouldn't I invest in that with this game coming up on Saturday? It's right around the corner.
Yeah, and then he could make the decision in literally a week after everything.
But the dudes in the locker room don't know what's going on.
Okay.
They're on Twitter. They're seeing, man, everybody keeps saying coach is leaving.
They're on Twitter. They're seeing the copy link button doesn't work. That's what they're seeing on Twitter. All right. They're not seeing anything about their coach.
All right, fair.
No,
wait, what are we saying? Yes, they're saying shit about their coach.
I almost had him. I almost had him. Dude, I'm not worried about that. I know why I should be, because if I was in the situation, I probably would pull out a very similar argument of distracted team. Let me find an angle on it. But that's not even supposed to be like a pejorative about the discussion we've had, but more of like picking between Arizona and Michigan in this game is incredibly difficult because of how powerful they both are. So if you can find an angle, take the angle. It's at least an angle. I am just believing with the team that I picked from Jump Street, and I will continue to, because I was right and smarter than all of you. But I don't hate you for your take.
I think that part of where this difficulty in picking this game comes from is, as you talked about, the unstoppable performance of both of these teams thus far. But I think that we can extrapolate particular instances recently that have proven why the argument can be pushed for either team. So for Arizona, they get challenged a little bit by Purdue, and then they just surge and they hold them off. Michigan hasn't had really such a circumstance during their playoff run, but the difference is that since February, they have had 2 games in which they dropped against top opponents that were teams that made it to the Elite Eight. So they lost to Purdue in the Big Ten championship game. They lost to Duke. As much as I think that it was clear that those matchups maybe exposed some weaknesses in order for them to lose tight games late, part of me has faith in this Michigan team because they've been galvanized by those shortcomings. I understand that Arizona has played a particularly difficult schedule in the Big 12, but I would argue, this is kind of my Ohio State football argument from this past year.
Oh, God.
They haven't really, really been punched in the mouth recently. And I feel like having the ability to turn to those 2 games against those 2 Elite Eight teams is enough to motivate them and to keep them focused. And it's been proven by how untouchable that they've been on this run.
All right, let's have this conversation then. Last 2 games for Michigan, they face Alabama and Tennessee. Blow them both out respectively, score 90 points in both those games respectively. Arizona beats Arkansas, who has maybe the best guard in all of college basketball this year, a top 3 pick in all of college basketball this year in Acuff. And then they beat Purdue, which is a harder test back-to-back. It has to be Arizona. Tennessee is limp noodles. Alabama didn't have a full squad.
I wouldn't classify. Oh, because they're down the one guy for selling weed.
Doesn't help.
That's enough to.
Doesn't help.
Okay, I'm sticking with Michigan.
Okay.
Looking at this other game, UConn versus Illinois. Illinois is favored by 2.5 points against the Huskies. You and I have much appreciation for Dan Hurley. Where are you going? Who are you picking to win this game?
UConn, I'm picking against the Illinois Euro Fighting Illini. It's a deep squad. I understand it. They're big, mature, strong, professional, basically, with all of their foreign players that they have. But UConn and Dan Hurley make me scared of them. They are a team that I just won't bet against. I won't pick against them. 2.5. If I'm picking this, he just covers in March. He's a guy that goes and wins huge games. Now, we're pulling in miracle factor, Joe. Miracle. We witnessed it. What a shot against Duke. Terrific shot by Mullen. Game-winning miracle shot. Maybe it's a miracle run. I called UConn deflated. They pull a miracle out of their backside, to put it politely. Why can't they do that against Illinois? Why wouldn't they be able to? Is there a team that could get more fired up for a game? Brett Underwood's a great coach. Very good. Very solid. Good coach. Positive about his program. Yells like a behemoth on the floor. A great coach. He's not Hurley, though. He's not Hurley March energy, and that's something that I'm starting to believe in. I'm starting to believe that this guy is a boogeyman, a guy that just does not stop and doesn't care, that will headbutt a ref after a game, not get teed up, and then go and advance to the next round. And probably he's going to do something more flagrant or flamboyant than that on the sideline. Like, you can expect to bingo check box Dan Hurley crash out at some point in this game. His players respond to it. They do. I'm a believer. I have completely been swept up. Maybe I'm UConn Supermark 101. I don't care. I'm going UConn. I can't
believe that you're willing to support and back an ex-girlfriend of ours, him having been the Rhody Rams head coach.
I had good times with that ex-girlfriend. We did. We both did. We saw some cool games.
You never root for the ex-girlfriend.
Oh, yeah, I do.
You never root for the
ex-girlfriend at a basketball court she let us play on. Ex-girlfriend would give a high five. High five, big man, in the hallway.
Would he really let...
Dude, we would run...
I thought that they were, like, weird about letting people on the court.
We would be running shirts versus skins before men's basketball practice, and then it's like, hey, one of the players would come up, hey, we got practice in like 10 minutes. You guys wrap it up. We would. And then we'd all be walking off sweaty as hell, which we weren't supposed to be doing because I think it was still in season or training. And we walk it out, see Hurley walking in. Hey, fellas, hey, get a sweat in? Nice. He was cool. He was cool about all of that stuff. And then he'd start mother effing his team. I mean, he would get those guys on the line as soon as we were out.
I understand that, but I personally think that we have to recognize, as much as there's all this vibe evidence to support why UConn could win because they did something incredibly improbable, you really shouldn't count out Dan Hurley, especially in these types of settings. Underwood has not had the same level of success. I think that Hurley, no matter what the score is from an in-game perspective, is probably going to find a way to pull something out just to keep his team alive. First and foremost, I think that the size that Illinois presents is going to be a challenge for UConn. They're the biggest team by a large margin of the remaining teams in the entire March Madness field. They've got some serious size. It is a simple concept in football and in basketball at the college level. You got big ass dudes, you win freaking games.
Yeah.
The other thing here, Nick Bateman posted this, a screenshot of something from r/college basketball from Reddit Degenerate 96.
Okay, good
source. Do you think there's 96 other Reddit degenerates?
Yes.
This is the post. The team that eliminates Duke is cursed. Every year dating back to 2018, the team that beats Duke in the NCAA Tournament goes on to lose the very next game. 2018, Kansas beat Duke in the Elite Eight, lost to Nova in the Final Four. 2019, Michigan State beats Duke in the Elite Eight, loses to Texas Tech in the Final Four. 2020, COVID won that year. 2021, Duke was not in the tournament. 2022, North Carolina over Duke in the Final Four, lost to Kansas in the championship game. Tennessee beat Duke in 2023, then lost to FAU. 2024, NC State beat Duke, lost to Purdue in the Final Four. 2025, Houston over Duke, and then lost to Florida in the title game. So there is literally there is mounting evidence that if you beat Duke, that is your Super Bowl.
It's a pattern and a trend. I'm not putting that in front of a judge.
What are patterns and trends?
I'm not saying it's evidence. I'm a sucker for a pattern or a trend. I love the patterns.
Definition of evidence.
It touches on the right parts of my brain. If I get
evidence is any material, testimony, or documents or physical objects offered in legal or investigative proceedings to prove or disprove alleged facts. So I would argue that those are. It's material.
But it cannot technically, Your Honor, it technically cannot be a fact if said occurrence has not happened yet.
Who are you talking to?
Our honor, the judge.
Is there another person?
Conan is who I'm talking to, our judge. Yes.
Conan?
Yeah.
Is that his name?
It was Conan, yes.
I didn't think we called him Conan.
Yes, we did because of traffic cone bit infringement. Had to keep it less hacky.
Thing.
I had to invent it. The firestorm I got for when that cone was brought on.
Who gives a shit?
I'm with you. Just trying to avoid it.
He was a good host for that one show, and he contributed.
That's a good pattern, Joe. The Duke beating pattern, and I respect it. And I respect the size of Illinois, but Illinois doesn't have drop your nuts on the table basketball coaching like UConn does.
For a hypothetical national championship prediction, I am taking Michigan 5.5 By the way, I'm just making sure here. You pulled from a hypothetical line.
Yes.
Correct? Okay. I forgot to make that clear that was what I did. Because that line was 5.5 on the book that I got it from, unless that line's moved.
God. Do they offer future championship lines?
Yeah. Where did you get Arizona 3.5 from?
I made up 3.5.
Oh, that was what I was asking you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not what I meant. No, there were future hypothetical lines.
Okay, all right. Well, let me double check what the line
it's
would
5.5.
be. It's still my win.
It's Arizona's 5.5 against a UConn, I believe. Double check that though.
Okay.
I'm taking Michigan 5.5 against Illinois in my hypothetical matchup here, based on the picks that I provided. I think that considering where the momentum again that Michigan has, if they were to get past Arizona, I feel like that would be the final push for them to go on to win the national title and to win it handedly. And also knowing the last matchup that these two teams had when they squared off with one another, and then Michigan was able to blow past them 84-70 when they faced off in February. I feel pretty strongly that they're going to be able to do that again. 5.5 feels like a easy number for the Wolverines to cover.
I don't hate it. It's a 2v4 in my hypothetical Final Four. 6 points versus Illinois. Michigan's a machine. Again, if it was Michigan, Arizona, like Michigan should be going if it's Arizona not going. Michigan should be winning if it's Arizona not winning. So I'm fine with it. My hypothetical matchup, Arizona, 5.5 point favorites versus UConn. Disregard anything I just said about Dan Hurley being a boogeyman. The real boogeyman is sitting out west in the desert with a loaded team that doesn't bow down to miracles. They're agnostic to a basketball miracle. They're a team that will put 80 in your face, smile, and say, you only scored 54. Look at our lockdown defense. That's how that game would shake out. Arizona's just too talented, too fast, too big. UConn, tricksters, efficient, but they don't have the bodies to keep up with Arizona in this hypothetical national title matchup pick.
I think that the natural angle and direction I at least have here is that you need to be picking Michigan or Arizona.
Yeah.
It really is kind of wonky and weird that we're in this situation where far and away the two best teams that are remaining are the ones that are facing off on one side of the bracket. I know that this
happened last year.
No, because we had Houston versus Florida. So that was a completely justified and almost expected circumstance. Duke was also in the Final Four, and they were one of those teams that I think a lot of people thought could end up winning it when they had Cooper Flagg and Knipple.
It was all fours last year. It could have gone.
It was. There was really not much of an argument there. But this year, it's much different. I think if Duke had gone, it would have made the conversation a little bit more compelling on, like, could Duke, maybe they're the weakest of the three, but could Duke end up pulling it off? I just come away from this as if you don't pick Arizona and you don't pick Michigan, regardless of what the outcomes are on Saturday, it's risky. You know something that we don't know. And I think that, like, I just don't find a reason to be inspired by UConn or Illinois. I think that it would require for a complete and utter emotional dump from Arizona and from Michigan to show up flat, to at least lose the game close and to not cover that 5.5 point spread.
I can stay inspired because I thought, like, just about every team in the Elite Eight, maybe with the exception of Tennessee and Iowa, I was fine. I thought that's a team that could win the national championship. That's a team that has the build. I thought it was a great, like, final 8 teams, final 16 teams, and the best teams were there. And however it shook out, it shook out. I have no qualms with the UConn, Illinois making it because they had to beat some real powers to get there.
All right, Sean, let's talk about Tommy Lloyd.
Okay.
Tommy Lloyd is rumored to be in the mix to be the next North Carolina basketball coach. He currently sits at the second highest odds to become said coach, behind Billy Donovan. He has been asked multiple times now about the UNC job. He stated, I've got my full focus on this team. Nothing is distracting me. That's how I've decided to approach it. I'm 100% locked in on Arizona right now. I'm excited to see what this team can do. I have a real strong belief in this team, and this team deserves my full attention. So that's what I'm giving them. This comes after the fact that the last time that he was asked about this, he made this weird statement, or he wasn't asked about it, but he had made this weird statement about Arizona's going to be fine with the next coach. He obviously didn't mean it in that manner. And I think a lot of people took it and ran with it. But this is starting to turn into significant momentum in the fact that he might be leaving and taking the UNC job.
I'm going to take your tone out of this, which I thought you did a good job for a Tommy Lloyd tone here. I didn't think he was that biased. But in writing, I don't love that answer. I really don't, because a coach could always just say, hey, don't ask me about stuff like this. I'm coaching in the Final Four. Hey, I'm not answering that right now, which I don't know if a fan would think that's more damning or if a fan would just appreciate this very coach speak, boilerplate, I'm giving you nothing answer. But I respect a coach that feels disrespect from the media trying to pry within the locker room and create some type of a division that a spin doctor would take and try to make that the reason why Arizona would lose to Michigan. I would try to avoid that. I doubt you're the only person that is saying like, oh, is Tommy Lloyd, could he be leaving? Is this team distracted? I'm not, like I would hate that if I was a coach, if I was Tommy Lloyd. I would dislike it if I was a player. Like, why do we do this right before the Final Four? It's because it's juicy. It's because it'll get clicks. And because you could talk about it. I would shut it all down if I was a coach. Do I think it's possible? Yes. It's the UNC job. It's way more illustrious than the Arizona basketball job. So much history there. Does Tommy Lloyd fit the Southern gentleman prototype of Roy Williams? No,
he's a West Coast guy. That's the one thing that's been brought up that's a little bit weird, but you can't deny his rapid ascension, growth, and success for an Arizona program that was kind of waiting in that weird area with Sean Miller for such a long time, where it was like they're good, but they're not that good. They're pretty good, but they're also not as good as we're hoping that they can be.
All these analysts are also like saying that UNC needs to go out of the family, outside of the family, find somebody. I don't know if that means go get somebody that doesn't scream UNC with the tea time and the Argyle sweater. Tommy Lloyd doesn't scream that to me. Maybe that's outside the family. I think you go with it. If you're at a historical program, I try to stay inside the family. I try to keep on.
But there's no one to really turn to inside the family for them to go and hire. Who the hell are they going to go get?
But here's what I'd say. I think Notre Dame did a good job in football with trying to stay relatively inside the family with Marcus Freeman hire. I think he exemplifies Notre Dame very well.
But that doesn't apply for this circumstance. They went with an internal promotion at Notre Dame because Marcus Freeman was still the defensive coordinator, and most of the team and most of the recruits went directly to the athletic director and stated, we want Marcus Freeman to lead the team. We want him to be our coach. So they just shut down the process. And they also recognized and knew that Marcus Freeman eventually would be a head coach somewhere in the next 2-3 years.
That guy screams Notre Dame, though. You can't deny that. Everything about him.
But I just don't know who on the table screams North Carolina.
There aren't many.
Tommy Lloyd is the best coach that you need to go after. And I think it's the most plausible one for them to go after for the fact that Arizona, albeit has a history of being a great basketball program, their athletic department has been in murky financial waters. There has been instances in which the entire institution has not had the funds to just straight up stay afloat. It has been a growing and mounting issue. Their athletic department is not built to maintain this national championship caliber of success. And I wonder if at a certain point the floor falls out, if it just completely falls out from underneath him. I think that Tommy Lloyd, if he doesn't get the extension that he wants and the financial backing in NIL and revenue sharing and all those things, he should strongly consider taking the UNC job if they're willing to make a lot of those same promises. The one big key with this, where there hasn't been total movement, is that Lloyd's buyout dropped from $11 million to $9 million. They also have to pay Hubert Davis $5 million for his buyout, but it makes it a little bit cheaper now that it is hit April. It went down just from it hitting April. I really think that this has more steam to it. And I think that the biggest part with this, there hasn't been any movement. I feel like a lot of times when there isn't really so-and-so has expressed interest in the job, or UNC is narrowing in on so-and-so. This has been a while since this opening became an opportunity for coaches. And a lot of other opportunities have been filled.
I think it's because basketball is a secondary sport at most institutions, where it's like, hey, we got to pay a lot of money for football.
But not for UNC. UNC, it's a priority.
I think they're trying to probably make a push for football to be a priority with everything they're sinking into Belichick and company.
But
you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
That's truly related to this circumstance.
I'm thinking about their money. I can't. Buyout talk is like abhorrent to me. I hate the thought of like, no, you're going to leave and then you're going to get paid and then everything just moves and you abandon Arizona where it's going good, which you signed a contract, by the way. You signed a contract and now you're leaving it on everybody because other schools are more desirable and have deeper pockets. Like, that is odious to me. I wish you would just stick it out. I'd love to see a coach just stick out the contract and say, hey, I'm under contract, pal. When it's time to renegotiate, you give me a holler. When my contract ends, you give me a holler. You let me know. But I'm under contract with Arizona. Being all disloyal to go to UNC. I get it. I understand the desire. I understand the chase to of the Sisyphus hill, and you just keep on pushing up and up and up and up and up until you die. I don't like it.
I would imagine, again, there's not going to be a Lane Kiffin outcome here, but I would imagine that there would, if they fall short, be consideration to make the jump and to leave UNC. Now, another historic program could have had a job open.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Self, it was announced he is going to stay at Kansas. Of course, they decided to do this on April Fool's Day, but it is true that he will be coming back to the Jayhawks. I think just a simple thing I just want to point out here with Bill Self, albeit it would have made sense for him to retire because of his inconsistent, let me rephrase, with his health issues.
Yeah.
It would make a lot of sense at his age for him to step away, especially considering the fact that Kansas has underperformed recently. He has won 648 games in his career and 2 national championships, which is tremendous. But they've gone 3 years without winning the Big 12, and they have not won a conference tournament title. They've also gone 4 straight games without advancing past the first weekend of the NCAA tournament. They continuously have fallen short. It feels like this program is regressing. With the health concerns, it would have made a lot of sense for him to retire. But I think that the smart part here is, with enough time to reflect, Kansas made the right decision to not jump into the coaching search with the UNC coaching search also underway. If you're a job like Kansas, and this was part of what plagued college football programs for finding their next head coaches this year, when there's too many big brands, you end up getting effed.
Yeah.
You end up like Penn State hiring Matt Campbell.
Or there are like 29 college football openings this year.
Well, the major issue was that you had Auburn, you had Arkansas, you had LSU, you had Florida, and you had Penn State. So you had a historic year for major programs that if they were the only job in their individual years, whoever the number one candidate was would have walked away in any moment or instance to go take a new job. But because there were so many big openings, there were a lot of concessions that were made. I think that if you're Kansas and maybe looking ahead, see what you get out of 2027, 2026, 2027 before you enter that market, because you don't want to be matching and trying to get into a bidding war with UNC. You just don't want to do that.
I'm in no position if I'm Kansas, or I have no desire if I'm Kansas to run Bill Self out of there and get out of the Bill Self business early. That being said, I'm monitoring the situation very delicately. I am monitoring him the entire time. Bill Self scares me. The situation with his health scares me. And not because it's him particularly, but because of basketball coaches who get into it and yell like probably no other coach that I see. You know, a baseball manager will come out and get ejected once every 2 months and really start screaming. I'm sure he's huffing and puffing in practice and batting practice and stuff. Football coach, you're calling plays, you're locked in, you're not battling with the refs, you're not constantly shouting. You got a microphone, a headset, and you're talking to the quarterback or the middle linebacker, whoever's mic'd on defense. Basketball, you're yelling at the whole floor the whole time. High strain the entire time, tip to end. Bill Self, one of those guys. That is a strenuous coaching situation. I don't think it's particularly advantageous to someone with issues with the ticker like Bill Self has.
Yeah.
So I just work like I'm not saying get out of the Bill Self business, but I am monitoring Bill Self. I am looking at it like, hey, I built this chair, but I got this one screw. I didn't know where it went. So I gotta kind of sit in this chair and figure out if it's gonna go down on me.
The one thing that's been,
maybe that was crass. Apologies.
But I don't think it's wrong though, because I think that there's two sides to this. It's the health issue gets brought up constantly. There's always a situation where he's got to step away and he's got to be away from the program, and there's been a regression. So at some point we got to recognize that maybe that weighs into Kansas not playing up to its potential. They went from being the consistent expected team to win the Big 12 to now just in the mix.
They're battling.
And they had the best player in the country this year. I know the whole Darren Peterson thing is a whole complex, messy situation that's out of his control. I really thought he was going to retire. I really almost wonder if it would have been in his best interest to have retired.
If I'm Bill Self and I think I got it, I'll take another run. I mean, I don't know. Some of these coaches, I can't, coaches will do like retrospectives when it was time. I just knew it was time for me. Yeah, like Saban could still be coaching. Belichick could still be in the NFL. Like there's coaches that could just still keep on coaching. They're not. They said, that's enough for me. Maybe my body just told me this is enough for me. If he's not getting that signal, which I trust a coach's intuition to give him that signal, then go ahead and get after it, man. I understand the desire, the passion to want to coach, to want to stay around the game. I do.
Bumping on over to the NFL before we get on with our weekend bets that we've got coming up. A.J. Brown has been talked about heavily as a trade candidate for many teams that need a new starting wide receiver. And it appears that there is significant momentum for him to land with the New England Patriots. Mike Sando of The Athletic reported that it is expected across the NFL that after in June, that he will be moved simply because of salary cap implications that make it more tenable for the Eagles to make that trade happen. He's got a huge contract, so it's all understandable. Brown is coming off of one of his worst seasons of his career. It was filled with a lot of strife and tension with his starting quarterback, his head coach, Nick Sirianni. It seems inevitable to this point. If he ends up with the New England Patriots, what does it do for the Patriots' odds to win the Super Bowl? That is my big question with this. They currently have the 12th best odds behind many surprising teams, including the likes of the Chargers, the Packers, the 49ers, the Lions, team that was just in the Super Bowl, 12th. How much higher would you gauge the Patriots' Super Bowl odds with the list that is written down in our document? Where would you place them if they landed A.J. Brown?
Oh, I'd put them right in that 10-1 mix. Bills, Ravens, Seahawks, 10-1. I'm not ballsy enough to put anybody ahead of the Rams right now. That team is on a rocket ship to the Super Bowl. But for the AFC, Patriots are immediate favorites over Buffalo, chokers. Immediate favorites over Ravens, rebuilding choke artists. And the Seahawks are going to have to figure that out on their own in the NFC. But for the AFC, the Patriots take a monster leap with A.J. Brown. He is the piece. He's the piece. He's a Vrabel guy. We knew about Vrabel. We knew Vrabel was going to the Patriots. We just knew because that's the coach. That's the landing spot for Mike Vrabel. A.J. Brown gets ditched by the Titans, and then they ditch Vrabel. Two guys put out by terrible ownership and decision-making by an awful front office and a team that's been the worst in the NFL for the last 2 years, reuniting on an upstart legacy franchise in another start of another potential dynasty. Yeah. Final piece, man. Sometimes in sports, it just works out like that.
Yeah.
You draft a project QB that a bunch of dorks called a project QB who wasn't. Turns out he's a 6'5" athlete with a good arm that can make a lot of good throws when he's got time. And even when he's getting bared down on, he makes a lot of great throws. And then you give him a guy like A.J. Brown, someone that he could rely on. I'm not saying Drake May is going to go out in year 3 and crack it open and throw his receivers open all over the place like Brady did and just completely command the offense. But he has someone to lean on, someone that can go up and get a ball that maybe he left a couple inches high or toe tap on the sideline for a ball that should be non-catchable for any Jalen Polk or whoever they got else at the wide receiver room. But A.J. Brown makes that catch. I just think he fits the identity of this team, man. I think he's a spark plug for the Patriots as well, like gets them in a whole different attitude. Get me out of Philly with these losers and these cornballs. I want to go to the Patriots and win. That's what I get from A.J. Brown.
I'm on the same page with you here. I think that moving them up behind the Seahawks would be the easiest projection. I think that they absolutely would deserve to have better odds than the Chiefs and the Chargers. The line movement probably isn't going to work like this, but if we're just talking about where we would see where they would fit, I would slot them right behind the Seahawks, maybe ahead of the Seahawks, because of the fact that they would go from being this team that had a solid offseason, depending on what they do in the draft, to then being incredibly explosive on offense. A.J. Brown is that type of a piece that completely elevates you. And I don't think it's actually shocking, having removed Stephon Diggs from this roster in the offseason, for them to be all the way down at 12th. Like, that's not surprising to me, because if you look at this offense, it's got a lot of question marks. And the biggest question mark is, who is the big number one go-to receiver? We talked about this. When you went and got Romeo Doubs, that was adding a receiver that was a really good number 2.
He's a B guy.
He's not the number one guy. You know what makes your receiver room unstoppable and one of the best in the NFL? When you've got Romeo Doubs being set up to eventually potentially become a 1,000-yard receiver because he's in a better offense that's less crowded, where he's going to get more opportunities to excel. He's a perfect Z. Is when he's got a dominant X receiver, contested catch demon that is going to come up with any ball that is thrown his way, and there's going to be so much attention to divert it to him. That is the path. And then the ancillary pieces of, Kayshon Boutte being your next receiver in, probably like your 4th receiver, and then Kyle Williams likely being your slot. There's just so much diverse explosiveness. A.J. Brown is that type of a guy that he completely rounds out your team. I would also still consider spending a draft pick early on a receiver as well to just continuously round out this unit. But if they come away from this draft, us feeling that they took the right steps and they went and got A.J. Brown, not to mention the fact not having to spend, because if this happens in June, not having to spend one of their first round picks on trading for A.J. Brown and being able to retain that, not one of, I mean, just their singular first round pick, not sending away that first round pick to go and get him, I think that makes this whole entire process of improving this offseason even better. So absolutely, they should move up into the top 4. That shouldn't be a ridiculous claim to make, because I see significantly more flaws with the Chiefs. I see significantly more flaws with the Chargers team that has a new defensive coordinator stepping in, and also a bunch of
the OC steps in,
and also new offensive coordinator. I completely forgot about that. And on top of this, with some of the other teams that are ahead of them, Packers have inconsistency all the time.
B-plus team
is banged up coming into the season. We don't know how quickly Micah's going to be ready to go. And I feel like the 49ers are always an inconsistent team to buy into. So I'm bought in, man. I think that this is the type of move that accelerates you.
This is something that the Rams wouldn't hesitate to do. Like when they decided to legitimize themselves, and I know everyone makes the Les Snead F them picks, F them kids jokes, but I am all in on the Patriots saying taking a swing. Like when else are you going to take the swing? When else? Like we're sitting here like Jettas is going to get locked up. They had Jamar, he's under contract. Like all the ones are being kept by their teams. And Philly has an issue with their one because of, I would just say, differences in attitude and personality with A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts. And I know you saw that Super Bowl clip after they won their first one, where Jalen Hurts was like getting preachy with A.J. Brown on the sideline. A.J. Brown was just trying to be like hype, like, hey, we did it, man. And Jalen Hurts is like, good things come to the guys that work like us. And I'm like, you're winning the Super Bowl. You're trying to mog on your teammate that got you here, and you're dropping hardo Instagram quotes. What are you doing, Jalen Hurts? I'm like, of course he doesn't like the guy. He's not a real guy, and he's a quarterback, and he's got a quarterback like mentality disease thing where these guys are weirdos. They're like pitchers. A.J. Brown's a real guy. I think Drake May is a real guy who plays quarterback. There's a difference there. There's no Russell Wilson weirdness that I think Jalen Hurts has some of. Make the pairing. God, it just seems so clear and obvious to us, and we're two dumbos. But shouldn't it be obvious and clear to every other person how good of a move this would be? And I don't think we're even reaching.
No, I really don't. I think that naturally that once this move happens, that there has to be a market reaction to a trade like that. Again, I don't think it's shocking that at the current moment that they're low. Them being at 12th after being in the Super Bowl is very low, especially considering the teams ahead of them didn't exactly do anything that was overtly exciting this offseason. I will say I do think that the Texans should be higher. We'll have a separate discussion after the draft on whose odds that we're buying into, and we'll also do win totals and all those things for every single team. So that's something to look forward to. But yeah, I think that the market is going to reflect the impact that this has. Now, the second question with this, before we move on to some of our picks, how does this affect the Eagles, who sit at 9th? They have the 9th best odds at 16-1. How does this affect them? I do wonder, is there a player that's a part of this? Is there theoretically, I know I just talked about keeping that first round pick. Is there a, hey, you need to pick this player for us type of a deal? They want him to take a receiver and then it's a swap. I mean, that
you got to worry about Howie, man. You know how he's plotting.
Well, seriously. I mean, that shit happens all the time in just sports in general. So it's theoretically possible that we could have that be a part of the contingency of the trade. And I would imagine they would be motivated to try and make that happen so that they're not just getting future draft capital out of it. But where would you move the Eagles if they lost A.J. Brown?
Oh, I'd move them down. I'd move them down big time, because what's the offense look like? Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, a draft pick, and Saquon, and Jalen Hurts, who is inconsistent. You get Lane Johnson back. Maybe you have a healthier offensive line. I'm not going to discount them possibly being dominant in the run game. That's there. But for a team that is projected right now, current roster is the clear favorite in the NFC East, do I put them as a clear favorite anymore? No, it's tighter. It's tight. Their odds are just above Dallas's odds, in my opinion. Their odds are just above Washington's.
I think that's a little
odds.
bit of an extreme swing. To me, I would probably drop them 2 spots behind the Texans, because I think, to your point, who is that go-to big playmaker that they can rely on now that they don't have A.J. Brown? And let's cut through it. Jalen Hurts is not a good quarterback. I mean, how many times? I was on Cleveland radio, by the way, and I was getting into it with I forget who the host was that I was on with, but like he presented this hypothetical of what would be I forget what the hypothetical was. It was something along the lines of, like, what would you trade for Jalen Hurts, or like would you rather keep the 6th overall pick or use it to go and get Jalen Hurts? And I said, no, I don't want Jalen Hurts. Why would I want? He's a guy who's relying on having a perfect situation, and now his perfect situation gets worse. And we saw this past year when the perfect situation wasn't working so great because A.J. Brown was sick of his shit, that it completely changed the whole situation. So I don't know, dude. I think that this would probably dip a little bit. No, they would have to get a baller. They would have to get somebody in this deal.
If there's no A.J. Brown, do they have a better shot at winning the Super Bowl than the Bears?
No.
But the Bears are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams below the Eagles right now.
You know what not enough people talk about, by the way? Kellen Moore was so important for their Super Bowl run. Same thing with Shane Steichen. Like, they had 2 brilliant offensive coaches. If you don't have the right intelligent offensive coach, Jalen Hurts is the most useless quarterback in the NFL. I don't care. I don't care what anyone says to me.
They don't like it when you say anything bad about Jalen Hurts, man. People don't like that.
But the problem is, when we talk about Jalen Hurts, is that a lot of his accomplishments are team accomplishments. Even when he went, and there are a lot of these things that look really good on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Super Bowl MVP.
Sure.
Whoa, that's great.
Come on. He won it. Come on.
The defensive line for the Eagles should have won it that year. Patrick Mahomes was in hell. If Patrick Mahomes had a little bit more time and it becomes a duel, you know what happens to Jalen Hurts? He ain't winning the damn game.
He had his best game like ever in this Super Bowl, man. He had like 4 touchdowns.
That was his best game ever.
It was his best game ever. I'm not going to knock him in that Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's awfully easy to have all that cushion. God, that would be so easy to be nice and confident by the fact that you're not pressed because you're not. There's no stress. Do you understand the stress of going toe-to-toe with, oh, great, Patrick just scored, now we got to match it? No, you're standing there and you're going, oh, the defensive line got to him again. Jalen Carter punched him in the head. Oh, okay, well, we're good.
We also have an unstoppable play from 2 yards and in on every single drive, or every single possession.
And not to mention the fact that that game in particular, damn it, you pissed me off.
This is Jalen Hurts slander in April.
Also, slander is factual. He had the most beneficial thing going for him. You know what that was? The Chiefs took away Saquon. Yeah. You know how easy it is when they take away Saquon? It makes things 10 times easier because no one's paying attention to you.
Yeah, a lot of one-on-one matchups.
Yeah,
too.
man.
A lot of loaded boxes. Yeah. I'm on the same page as you. It's been a while since we've done some good Jalen Hurts talk. And I forget how polarizing this guy is.
Jalen Hurts is the most overrated, not even close, most overrated quarterback in the NFL. I think Caleb Williams is better than him. I'm trying to think of some of these guys.
Michael Penix?
Michael Penix ain't better.
What are you talking about?
He ain't better.
Just wait on Michael, man.
We should do a full show where we just rank quarterbacks. That would be a good idea. All right, let's get to our weekend bets that we've got here. Moving on over to the weekend parlay, the steak parlay. For those that are unfamiliar, the way that this works is Sean and I put together a parlay. We decided to not put as much money down because the last one very violently didn't hit. We ended up getting Iowa, which was extremely exciting.
Yep.
We were so juiced up about Iowa. And we got completely sold. Was it Houston who sold?
Houston sold the hell out of us.
That was what it was. It was because we talked about how we thought that Iowa was going to be who dogged us. And then we said, oh, so no brainer that Houston's going to beat Illinois. And well, behold, we were idiots. So we threw $5 down on the 8-leg steak parlay. The whole premise here is if this hits, we are going to go get ourselves a nice steak. No matter what, we can't spend this money on anything else. It is earmarked specifically for steak. 8-leg plus 8,700. 8,707. These are the legs of the parlay. We are going to go Yankees minus 174 against the Marlins. These are all Friday games. Toronto Blue Jays minus 200 against the White Sox. Red Sox minus 120 against the Padres. Phillies. I like that one, man. The reason why I like that one is that we've got a early first pitch 2-11 for a West Coast team.
Okay.
I think
Padres have been bad, but the Red Sox have been just as bad.
I understand that. I understand that. Phillies minus 190 against the Rockies. Rockies are ass.
Yeah.
We're going UConn minus 6.5 against South Carolina. Shockingly close line. I know South Carolina is good, but I mean, this UConn Huskies team is comically.
People are calling it
dominant.
their best women's team ever.
Which is, I feel like they do that every year.
Yeah.
Like pick a stop, just pick one and stick to it. Stop. Wait till the season's over. We got a little risky here. UCLA money line plus 114. And then we also have Mariners minus 162 against the Angels. And lastly, capitalizing on plus odds for this awful Giants team, but playing with a late first pitch at 10-16 against the Mets. This is my one favorite trend that we always talk about. If you got a body clock game, take the body clock game. Giants plus 110 against the Mets. Any thoughts on those picks?
I like my picks.
But don't say anything negative.
I'm not. I'm saying I like my picks, my selections, and I to not use the JINX word.
Yep.
To not use that word, I am just going to say I like the picks that I had added into this parlay.
Okay. All right. I like those picks as well.
Okay, that's nice.
Random bet of the week, where we bet on a random sport that we have zero knowledge of and we don't do any research. I'm going table tennis this week, Sean.
Sure.
By the way, mine missed. Yours hit last week. We're tied at 6 and 7 on our random bets. I'm taking Adrian Elias plus 112 in table tennis against Philip Kajawa. No comment.
Yeah, hope that hits for you. I am going into boxing.
Hold on.
Huh.
This isn't that random. Boxing isn't that random. To bet on Deontay Wilder, that's really not that random.
I didn't even know there were boxing matches happening this weekend.
Yeah, but everybody has some context of. You think that I've ever heard of Philip Kajawa, and that was what motivated my pick?
Hey, random bet of the week, and I'm taking a dog. All right? Can I take an underdog in random bet of the week in a sport that I don't track?
I don't think that
Deontay Wilder plus 172 money line versus Derek Chisora. I have worse odds than you do to hit this, and you're complaining about it because
I'm complaining about it because it's not random.
It is random. I hit boxing and let's see what who these boxers are. I saw Deontay as an underdog.
I guess. I mean, I don't know if I would.
I don't know if he won or lost his last fight or his last 3 fights. I don't know. Why do I know Deontay Wilder? I don't remember.
Name?
Who did he fight? Jake Paul? Is that or Logan Paul?
I don't know.
I think he fought one of them. I don't know. Did we watch that in Montana?
But it has more to do.
No,
that was Floyd. I think it was Floyd.
I don't remember.
I don't recall at that awesome bar that had poker in the back.
I love that bar, man.
It was a good bar.
Talking about that bar.
My problem is it has more to do with the sport itself. Everybody knows. Have you ever watched a live table tennis event? I don't even know how to get that on TV.
Oh, the Ocho.
All right. AI pick of the week. The Sports Geek is powered by a AI betting model, and we allow him to contribute selections each week on what he has momentum on. He calls and leaves us a voicemail. He left us a voicemail this week. Sean, would you care to play it for us?
Let's hear it.
Hey, what's up, Gouts? I mean, Geeks.
Oh, thanks.
Is everyone excited for the Final Four? I hope so, because here's 4 quick facts about the teams in the Final Four. If Joe was coaching Michigan, his name would be Krusty Dusty May. Sean, stop smiling. You ready for the Illinois fact? Sean
Yes.
could never be Brad Underwood. He'd be chud overweight. Neither of you could survive in Arizona due to the sun, and I won't let Joe use the he lived in California excuse. Lastly, UConn, Dan Hurley. No, let's go to Gino Auriemma, who Sean often calls Genoa Salami. Anyways, Spurs getting 1.5 points against the Clippers is my pick.
You don't have a March Madness?
I don't think he had a March Madness Final Four line available to him, so he had to go with the Spurs getting points versus the Clippers.
I mean, that's actually a good pick, dude. This Spurs team. I watched the Spurs last night for a bit, and I was like, I got to the point where I was watching it, and it was 12:30. I'm like, I'm not watching the rest of this. We know who's winning this game, the Warriors. I watched a man who looked like he was selling insurance try to cover Wemby in the paint, and I'm not talking about Pat Spencer. Pat Spencer's a baller. There was some other dude that looked like a creative player trying to cover Wemby, and all I think about is that poor soul. I mean, Wemby just stood there and just went like turned around and just kind of dropped the ball into the bucket. It's hilarious watching him.
I just watched it for I was watching it also. I watched for 8 minutes. Just like, hey, let me focus on this basketball here. All I did was see him put guys on posters. All I did. I'm like, oh my God.
It's comical.
It's just a freak of nature. It's must-watch TV. It really is.
It really dawned on me watching it that it's one of the most, to be in an era where you're watching quite literally the most. This is, I think that in a year or two, we're going to be saying this is the greatest athlete in the world. I don't think that anyone is going to be arguing with that in 2 years. And what I literally mean by that is that he is the most rare athlete for his size. The way that I fully understand where all the hype comes from, not from recently watching him, but for anyone who hasn't truly watched a full game of him play, he's not supposed to move the way that he can move. Go look at Rudy Gobert, who's the same size as him. He is lumbering.
Yep.
He's uncomfortable. He is clunky. He's going to block shots because he's long. He's moving like he's a 6'2" point guard. And the funniest thing about him, he walks faster than dudes run up the court.
Yeah.
He walks and he covers more damn ground. It's frightening.
I need to find me a tall girl. Project Wemby.
Yeah.
Get in on that.
6'8" girl or something like
Yeah.
that. Start going the Fordham basketball roster. Hanzu, I don't know if she's still on the Liberty. She's a tall Chinese basketball player on the New York Liberty.
Project Wemby. Would you support it if I started Project Wemby? Is that unethical? People really get upset when parents in Europe are like, I'm doing Project Mbappe with my kid. People really do not like it because they feel like it's taking away life from the kid and their passions and whatever they're good at. I'll tell you what, depending on the metrics, depending on the RAS that I get in the delivery room, we'll see what we're going with.
Why are there no? Okay, here's some heights and weights. All right, so here, you don't have very good options on this Liberty team for you to slide it in some DMs
for the WNBA team.
Yeah, for the Liberty. Okay, so you got Leonie Fibic, who's 6'4". That's not tall enough.
Probably that.
Maybe. Jonquel Jones, who's 6'6". That's the tallest player.
That's
on.
Not
bad. Emma Miesemann. She's 6'4". Naira Sabelli, 6'5". Brianna Stewart is 6'4". Wait, let's see. Tallest WNBA player. Who is the tallest? Tallest active.
If I had a kid with a WNBA player, that kid would walk out of the hospital day one.
Hanzu is the tallest. I was correct. It is Hanzu. But who is Hanzu? What team is Hanzu on?
Those ladies would spit on my face.
Dude,
they would spit in my face.
Well,
if I had a pitch.
It depends if you are into that or not. I don't know if Hanzu is an active player or not, but she's 6'11". She's 6'11". I think,
but I'm not like that.
Hanzu.
Like, there's a bunch of short guys that are like, they're all gross too. Like, I gotta climb that tree. And I'm like, ugh.
Well, you're not climbing that tree.
I would be climbing that tree if it was 6'11".
If
it was 6'11", I would be climbing that tree.
I have no idea. Hanzu was not listed on the ESPN active roster, so I don't know if she is technically still active. But I think that you need to pick up the phone, and I think you need to start DMing.
How about they pick up the phone and DM me for their own project? They don't want to do Project Wemby?
DMing you. They DMing you.
Would be nice if they would.
All right, closing us out. First prop bets where we make up a line for something that doesn't exist. We pitch to one another. I tweeted this earlier. I don't know how closely you check your LinkedIn. I open LinkedIn every single day for whatever reason because
You're a masochist.
Whenever I get notifications, I'm like, I gotta click this. I gotta see what's in there. The weekly on LinkedIn, you get those notifications that if you don't have premium, because they're trying to get you to pay for premium.
Yeah.
It shows you a weekly report of people at what companies looked at your profile. Normally, for the most part, it's usually a bunch of sports media companies for the most part. Occasionally there'll be like a really random one in there. A lot of times if I say something that pisses off a fan base, you'll see athletic administration at such and such university. That happens every time.
Do you post often on LinkedIn?
No, I don't post on LinkedIn, but normally if I say something where
they track you down.
Yeah, people go like, who the usually I can tell who the fuck is Joe DeLeone, and they type me in and I come up and they go click on my LinkedIn and like, who is this guy? No, yeah, with the whole Ole Miss thing happened when they were all pissed off at me. It was all people in Mississippi Athletic Administration. It happened at South Carolina when
what
I
a
pissed
joke.
off
The college sports world is just pro wrestling.
I seriously. So today I opened my phone and I'm thinking, I wonder if maybe it'll be ESPN that's in there this time. Maybe it's CBS Sports. Who could possibly be in there? Because usually there's someone from one of those companies in there. I open it. The top two results are U.S. Navy Reserve and then Military Sea Lift Command.
Yeah.
So I ask you, Sean, minus 150 that Joe DeLeone gets drafted into the U.S. Navy.
Okay, this is a great question.
I mean, what are the odds that those are the top two? We're not talking about one person who searched me.
Here's the thing. You're not an only son. You're younger than your brother.
Yep. I don't know who are to fit in the age parameters.
They are upping the age parameters. They're saying people 38 to 42 who had been previously excluded are now included. So
I need the age fast.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things not going for you to get drafted, I guess. So the
problem is I fit perfectly in the boats. Like I'm like a perfect Naval Academy.
Do you swim well?
Enough.
Okay. Well, okay. Not a great swimmer, noted. Glasses, that's a rejection. Do you have diabetes? I don't think you can serve if you have diabetes.
I don't have diabetes.
Oh, that stinks. I'm trying to get it. Quick. Sorry, folks.
See, now you're making me like want to make my case for why I would, because you're making me seem like I'm inferior. I think I would argue that I would physically. Are
you balding? I don't take the ball.
That's got nothing to do with it. I typically fit the profile of someone in the Navy, maybe for some other reasons, but I've typically fit.
Let me see your war face. Let me see your Chud Hardo JROTC face. I could have drank that Kool-Aid, man. Thank God I was into sports.
You're talking to a future Marine.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. It's something about the jaw. You're wearing the black shirt. You got that. It's kind of like, I'm starting to see it. Can you do pull-ups?
Yes, I can do pull-ups.
Okay. Can you climb a rope?
Climb a rope.
All right. Well, we're not making you a Navy SEAL. We're just putting you in the Navy.
You don't know if I could be a Navy SEAL.
You got to be able to swim really well. Can you hold your breath well?
Yeah, I think I got pretty good lung capacity.
I don't think I'm drafting you personally.
Oh, that's bullshit.
I'm not.
Clearly, they've got interest in me.
I'm drafting me.
Maybe it was Perry Schrader's dad.
Someone's got what a pull. I'm drafting me into the Army. And
I've always said, you know how long it would take to get you in shape?
I've always said if I was in the military, I'd roll right up. Hey, Sarge. That's how I'd get it started. After he was done beating the hell out of me, I'd say, hey, Sarge. Look, I have one service that I can do. I can haul heavy stuff. I can rock.
Fill up the toilet.
I can fill that toilet up pretty good. And I can throw. So put me on the grenade team. That's what I want to be.
I don't think that's how.
Why do you think grenades?
Do
you know that there was a symbiotic push for baseballs and grenades in the 1950s or 40s or whatever? That they wanted grenades to be shaped and as closely weighted as baseballs. So when they were drafting people, young men who had thrown baseballs and all had good arms, they would know how to throw a ball, aka a grenade. So since I know how to throw a ball really well, I'd just be grenade guy. That's what I'd be. I would want to do that.
Yeah, but I just
that's what I would have fun doing.
I don't think that there's a direct...
Okay, fun doing is probably a little crass also. But
okay. What is your cursed prop bet?
Yeah. Okay.
What's your?
I'll get to it. I have to be able to. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
There's a thing about talking that you also have to breathe, and I'm trying to do not one of those right now. Curse prop bet. My curse prop bet. Over under 0.5 April Fool's pranks from sports teams next year. There can't be one. Following just an embarrassing sequence from everybody online after the Washington Wizards did a blindfolded half-court shot for $10,000. They pretended that the person made it. And that's the April Fool's prank. Oh, you missed it. Take off the blindfold. We cheered. Now we didn't cheer. Okay, whatever. April Fool's prank. It's a bit of a dud, regardless. Everyone was like, oh, why would you do that to that person? Look how excited he got. Oh, my God. I would have had to throw hands. This would have been Malice at the Palace, too. Oh, this is bad form. Shut the hell up. That forced the Wizards, 17-win ball team, by the way, on the rise.
Bad.
On the rise.
Sure.
17-win ball team. To put out a apology and explain the bit and explain that it was fake everything. The guy that took the shot was part of their performance team. The guy, so it was all a work. And all of you dummies, everybody online is just the stupidest person imaginable. Because you are now forcing teams who are just trying to do a fun thing for the people in the stands to have to explain their hacky bits, which makes a hacky bit, which is already not that funny, into even less funny. And now everyone's going to be looking around like, oh, it's April Fool's. What are we going to do this year? Nothing. Remember what happened to the Wiz? Remember what happened to the awful Wizards? You can't do it.
Shut it down.
Can't joke anymore. Can't joke anymore.
Shut it down.
Because now the graphics team has to get in to take out the lorem ipsum and put in an apology with the letterhead. What a joke you people are.
Yeah, this is crazy. This is crazy.
It's April Fool's. You want to do a real April Fool's prank? Do it on April 3rd like I did and get in real trouble. That's what you do.
What's April 3rd?
That's when I pulled my April Fool's prank in high school.
Oh.
With the ping pong balls in the locker.
Well, that wasn't very smart.
We left well.
I don't think that would give you much leeway.
People were fooled.
I don't think that's how that one works.
No, it wasn't a lot of critical thinking, but we're like, hey, you know what? You know what's really going to get them?
Oh, we forgot to do it.
They're expecting it on the 1st. Let's make a huge mess and have to go to AIA for 3 days because we wanted to get the real surprise on the 3rd.
You guys forgot and you were ill prepared, and then you decided to put it together.
Well, we were also waiting on a 500 ping pong balls to be delivered.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
At Joe DeLeone, at Sanderson Radio. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button on this video. We will catch you guys next week.